Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing Tesla's FSD Full Self-Driving Beta version 9.2. This was released over the weekend, and as many of you know, every time these come out, I spend my time distilling all of the hours out there of YouTube content from the 2,000 beta testers, and I distill it down into the more notable takeaways from these videos. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these videos are boring because the cars aren't making any mistakes or anything. So it's a lot of effort for me to go through this, and I do this so that you don't have to, all right? I would rather have one person such as myself spend all this time looking at all these videos, make a video like this so that you can watch one and be done and understand where we stand. Okay, so this will be a little bit of a longer video. But again, keep in mind, the whole point is to take all of those hours and distill it down into the important content. Now, before we get started, special shout out for the patience of the woman behind the man, the woman behind the camera who makes all this possible. So this is gonna be a long one. I appreciate her patience. I appreciate everything she does for this channel. And with that said, if you wanna make her happy, not for me, do it for her, hit this like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, just to make her happy, okay? Help me out. Happy fiance, happy fiance. That doesn't work. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it without further ado and see what you guys think.
So I got my little partner in crime. All right, so we're doing, this is FSD. Okay, so we're making a right. All right, this is really taking too long. Okay, so I don't know what was going on there. Like simple left-hand turn, to be honest, became a little more complicated than it needed to be. But yeah, so we're just gonna do a test here up to a winery. So we'll see how it does. It's, you know.
So keep in mind that obviously we saw that struggle coming out of that left-hand turn, but watch this right-hand turn and watch how the acceleration comes. This is where I think a lot of the updates come, is really that engagement of coming out of turns, and especially going from like a suburban street onto more of a, I don't want to call it a highway, but more of a active street. And that's where you'll see a lot of these subtle changes. So you'll see a nice acceleration compared to what we've seen before, and from either 8.1, 8.2, or even 9.0 and 9.1. So it should be pretty noticeable for you.
We'll see how it does. So here, it's like I'm not pressing accelerator or anything. And sorry for all the bug residue. Just got back from a trip and I have not cleaned off the front dash yet. So no clue that she's being a part of history in some ways. Okay. All right, so, all right. Okay, so it definitely made that error. Okay, went all the way in the left lane. So it was interesting, I'll say on 9.1, that was not an issue. It was able to figure that out. So I'm gonna set that in again. I think the only thing is, like, if drives are good, obviously, as you do these software updates, they should be making it better. I mean, obviously, I think Elon said 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but in those situations where, all right, so we're gonna make it right. In those situations where,
I'm going to pause it there real quick. So you hear what he's talking about, how with each iteration that comes out, it should be better and better. Let me caveat that. And again, I don't know this for a fact, but it's the way I see a lot of code gets released and a lot of new features get released. You don't always, especially if it's something you're iterating on, you don't always put out the full complete stack to be, error-free. Okay, a lot of times you'll put out the same stack that has a lot of known issues, but you're testing a certain, a certain subset of features or, things that you're looking for and those triggers. So I think Tesla does that a lot, instead of pushing out something that's complete, feature complete. So, I understand the thought here, but I don't think that's exactly how it's working. Because if that were the case, Tesla would be, sending out a full stack under, instead of having two different iterations between, for instance, what they'd used on the highway, what they use for city streets, right? It'd be all consolidated. And we would see, essentially the same, nuanced differences with each iteration that everyone gets. I don't even think every driver gets the same tweaks in their downloaded version. So again, I have no proof of this, but it's what I've seen done a lot with any kind of beta type software or anything that is being tested from a DevOps perspective.
Where it's able to do something that it wasn't able to do before that. Shout out to the yellow Tesla right there. That was like an orange color. Got a Model 3 in front of me. But in those situations where it's able to do something and it wasn't able to do it prior, I feel like, the last thing it kind of stinks about that is like, it literally just got in the left lane and then went back to the middle lane. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. Three-way stop, but not really much going on. We do have a car that is backing out, but it looked like that was fine. So here it's going to be kind of a mountainous road. It's called Testarossa Winery.
Testarossa. Daddy, what's Testarossa? Daddy.
That's a winery.
What's Testarossa?
That's the name of the winery.
I love hearing his daughter in the background. Daddy, what's Testarossa? I think it's pretty funny that he brought her on.
Thought I saw a...
So throughout this video, and I'm going to try to pause less and less as we go on, but there's some things I want to call out. So anytime you see a pedestrian, take a look at that and see how the car reacts. If the car sees that there's no one coming from the other lane or anyone coming on, the vehicle will itself try to maneuver around people. Now, I don't quite remember what happens here, but being that it's, this individual's on a sidewalk, I don't think it actually maneuvers around. But just keep an eye out for that, because another feature that Elon tweeted that came out with 9.2 was essentially a reference ability for either people or objects that aren't moving. So when it comes to people or other things and the physics, right, that correlation between acceleration and velocity, right? Those aren't the same thing, right? Velocity and acceleration are fundamentally different. But that correlation, and from a purview when it comes to physics, right, and how that is incorporated with your own velocity and your own acceleration and that timing. Another way to say that, if I'm crossing the street, or if I see someone crossing the street, do I have to slow down or do I not, because I know that they're going to cross before I get there? And with inanimate objects or objects that are just in a static state, right? Can I go around it? Can I not go around it? Is it going to stay where it's at? So keep an eye out for those things, for moving objects, for humans and how the Tesla reacts to it. And then for things that don't move, maybe it's a stationary car on the road, right? Do we go around it or not? So again, I'm going to try to stop, less as we go, but these are some things I want you to keep an eye out for, because those are some of the fundamental improvements that we've seen with FSD 9.2. We don't really see a whole bunch of errors. In this ride here, for example, there's one intervention the entire time. So that's pretty impressive. But what we do see is a lot of these, improvements that are very obvious, whereas from 9 to 9.1, they were kind of hard to really see them. In 9.2, we see a lot of these that I just described. So again, keep an eye out for those.
Person there. Why I was hugging that a little bit. Alright. so, okay, it's gonna go in here, but look, it sees all the stuff around, which is great. Handled that well. A little bit quick for my liking, but did it well overall. Look at that.
I'll go faster and I have my
We
ladder.
can't go faster up here. All right, so it's going
Why?
out. All right, well, cool. All right, I'm gonna kill it.
Go faster.
All right, realize it's supposed to be on this side. Yeah, so it's like obviously following the street. So this is in the wrong lane. Send that in, disengage. All right.
I got it. We're going down, Daddy.
We are.
I have you to go faster, Daddy.
We can't go faster here.
This is my cake when I go faster.
So I'm pausing here again. You can see if you look in right in front of his steering wheel, you can see how the vector path that is being created, it's already going around the biker, right? It already sees the biker and is going around it. So keep an eye out again for things like that. And that wasn't any kind of update, I don't think, but so this is California, and if you've ever been there and you know driven on these roads, there's a lot of these like blind spots, right? So there you saw two vehicles just come out of nowhere, but the Tesla handled it with confidence, right? It didn't get jerky, didn't get scared, didn't slow down, didn't stop. It kept going down its path, and that is very human-like. That's something, you know, even when I drive in California, I get very hesitant, right? And it's something you really have to pay attention to, especially on these roads that don't really have any clear, you know, buffer lines on either side, any kind of edge to them. So, you know, you'll see a lot more of that on these drives.
All right, so it's a three-way stop. Got some pedestrians going across right now. Okay, we got a car.
So this one's very interesting. This is very real world, and with people not paying attention and people, you know, not understanding, you know, maybe it's a 16-year-old driver we're about to see who doesn't understand, you know, who has right-of-ways. So this is a great example to see the Tesla not just take some binary rules and say, hey, I'm supposed to go, you're supposed to go, right? Instead, it takes in the scenario, reacts accordingly based on what the situation is.
To the left that just stopped, and then now it's this turn.
Why are we going this way?
Okay, he's gonna go first. Thank you, Tesla, but we had the right of way, so that was our right of way.
What's that way?
That means it was our turn to go first.
Why are we going this way, Daddy?
Because this is the way to Starbucks or the supercharger. Okay. All right, it's trying to figure out, so that's good. At least it's trying to figure out.
Bible?
Okay, it handled that well. That was a pretty tight turn.
Morning, YouTube. Like I said, traffic is going to be low. I wouldn't expect a whole lot, maybe some pedestrians. Here we're looking across the street there again at the fuzziness. I'll give you a little bit of a side view. It needs to creep out there quite a bit more. Okay, I'm leaning for it. Okay, it's wide open. Nobody for a long way, so it can go whenever it's ready. Hey, there it is. That acceleration is new. I'd heard a rumor on a few places, including Clubhouse, that there was going to be an acceleration into the turn, and that was a new behavior right out of the gate. I even felt it in my seat. So let's see if it does that on the rest of the drive. So it did that slowing behavior until it could visually see this stoplight here. That's what that deceleration was. I couldn't see it, but it was around the bend. The map display knew it was there, so it was slowing till it could ensure it was a green light. Protected left here at the light. It's just a green light without the arrow. The arrow's not there. Didn't slow down too much. A little wide, but I wouldn't call it overly wide. It didn't hug the inside lane though. Options to deal with. We do have a pedestrian on the right side here. Should see. There we go. We got the visualization there. All right, with the double green.
So coming up on this light, what you'll see happens, or what used to happen with the previous versions, is that if you have a red light but a green arrow to go to the right, the FSD would want to still go through this. So this has been the same issue he's had for a while now. So let's see what it looks like now and what happens.
All right, with the double green light. And I think we're going to get our... No, we're not. The little green arrow on our red light just turned red. So it's a solid red light at the moment. This is that use case where in the past with that green arrow it had run the light. Okay, it stopped short again. The stop line is up here, and it definitely stopped well short of that. Okay, I recreated a scenario to see if it was going to stop with the green arrow, and it stopped this time. So I would say good job Tesla for identifying that. I had two reds and a green right arrow, and it stopped, albeit in the wrong location. So I'm just going to use one snapshot on that stopping location, but it did kind of stop at the red light. So I'm going to call that a fix. I wanted to rerun that, just that one stoplight, and recreate that scenario where it was red going straight but green going right. In 9.0 and 9.1, it ran that red light both times. So that's another improvement.
So with all these yellow lights that are coming up, these flashing yellow lights, so remember for a while there, I think with 9.0, the Tesla would just come to a complete stop, almost thinking that they're like a red flashing light. And now moving forward with 9.1, the Tesla was reacting a little better. Sometimes it would stop, sometimes it wouldn't, sometimes it would slow way down. So this is one of the things that have changed, so keep an eye out on this. You'll see several of them moving forward.
Pedestrian with a dog. Didn't see the dog visualized. Okay, we got our flashers coming up next. Double flashers first. Seeing yellow. A little bit of red in there. And it slowed down to 26, 24. Felt like it was checking, still showing some red in the display, but it continued. So it did the appropriate behavior. Slowed down a little bit, a little deceleration with the single yellow. It slowed a little bit more than on the double yellow. To turn right. So there's a full lane length over here where someone could squeeze in. Looks like it's going to turn right on red, and it got the green, so it's proceeding on green. So I'd say it's still kind of doing that. If there's room to the turn to the right, I feel like it needs to get over to the right.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I get the premise of having enough room there, and that, I guess that's more real world driving, right? To let someone squeeze by and take the right if they want to. But I wouldn't say that's something that Tesla's doing incorrectly or the FSD is doing incorrectly. But, you know, Chuck's points, you know, well noted that is real world type driving. So, you know, it'd be curious to see what happens there. Elon did recently get asked on Twitter about if the FSD will ever let the car go into bike lanes, right? Especially if there's no bike there and it's taking a right. So it'll be interesting if this gets addressed in the same manner. But Elon did say eventually will allow it to do that.
Four-way stop sign. We do have a car at the stop sign that it does need to wait for now. That's good. And it's being displayed in blue. Slowed all the way to 0. Obviously for the car. And proceeding nicely. Definitely a little bit more acceleration there again from that 0 speed. I would say the acceleration commitment is the build difference so far on behavior. Obviously not running a red light is a little bit of an improvement, but I'm not going to call that a behavior change. It just needed to understand what it was seeing. As we come up on the end of leg 1. All right, I thought it was just fine. I think that the acceleration coming out of the turns, both on the stop sign and the intersection there out of the subdivision, were both outstanding. I think that's going to come in handy on all sorts of turns and traffic interjection scenarios. So that's going to be a huge improvement if that's a consistent theme to this build. Let me set up the next leg and we'll head back. All right, heading back the reverse route.
So before we get into this turn, keep in mind you can see on the map down here in the bottom right that it's going to have to take a left, right? And the map shows it as just a regular left, but as we can tell it's a very sharp left. It's not just a normal 90-degree turn, right? This is more of a, I don't know, you call it like, 120-degree turn, right? So it is a sharper turn, but, note how the vehicle reacts to this. And obviously, Chuck will talk about it as well.
See what we see here. There's the stop line checking. It needs to scoot forward to check here for sure. There's plenty of room to do it. Okay, there is a car approaching, but if it gives a good acceleration, okay, it used its acceleration to get into that hole, which I didn't think it was going to go. I was almost ready to say it needed to wait. But that was with the previous mindset of a little bit slower acceleration. That jerkiness to find that lane is a repeated behavior from before, where it comes out at an odd angle and kind of has to visually find the lane. But it used its speed to fit itself into that traffic scenario. That was really good. Same. All right, this scenario is where it's got to go around a car and then over to the left of the stop sign. That vector is a perfect path I'd like to take. Needs to get back over to the right in a perfect scenario, and it did fine as long as it gets up to the stop line. Give you a little bit of a cross traffic visibility. I can't quite see yet. It needs to scoot forward. Okay, it's clear. No traffic. But the acceleration didn't feel...
So again, that's one of those updates I was talking about, where it's going around vehicles and getting right back into the lane as fast as possible. You'll see in other videos, besides just you know, this one from Chuck Cook, we see a lot more of that. So keep an eye out for that, as mentioned before.
Didn't feel too slow or too fast in that scenario. I didn't feel the punch, but it was coming out and approaching a street light. Here's the pedestrian again, with a dog, but no dog visualized. Flashing yellow's coming out, pretty good visibility. Got a car approaching from the right with the flashing red that did stop, and the car didn't overreact to it. So that was a good interaction there, really good. Flashing yellow. It didn't over decelerate that time at all, if any. Maybe 1 to 2 miles an hour. Where it's gonna go here, green light proceeding. Smoothly there. It's in the right lane. Looks like it's in the right lane to turn right. That was smooth as silk there. And it's turning right. Nice job. Got a pedestrian on the street up here with a couple dogs. Didn't see the dogs rendered. Creating nice paths around the cars that are parked. Alright, it's mapped an unprotected left here, crossing traffic. It'll be light traffic, but I'm anxious to see how it handles the acceleration through the left here.
So before we handle this unprotected left here, okay, we've seen plenty of Chuck Cook's videos with unprotected lefts and how FSD really tends to struggle with those unprotected lefts, and you know, it kind of bails out and just goes to the right. Before we look at this, keep in mind, up to this point, this entire video is actually about almost an hour long, I believe. So for that entire time, right, it looks like what we've been seeing here, right? Just FSD doing a great job, executing well, no disengagements, no interventions or anything. So, you know, with that said, this isn't feature complete. This is still beta. There's still a lot of work to be done. If this was, you know, ready to be done, then, you know, we probably wouldn't be seeing it at this level, right? We'd be seeing things a lot more polished, fine-tuned. But so just take what you're about to see here with a grain of salt. This is really the main impetus of these types of videos, to show you the interesting parts, not just the good. I want to show you the interventions as well, as I think those really give us a great perspective on where we are with everything. Once we get to left-hand, unprotected left-hand turns without any flaws consistently, and really to understand when we're there is going to be by watching Chuck Cook videos. Because I think, especially the ones he takes, tend to be a little hard to see. But once we get there, I'm telling you, that's when we can go ahead and say it's coming. It's happening any release now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this unprotected left-hand turn.
I've talked about this intersection before. One block to the left is a stoplight. So right now I'm completely blind. I can't quite see it. The B pillar would be blocked also. It's got plenty of room to creep. Okay, as the driver leaning forward, I can start to see right about now. The B pillar can start to see. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have anybody near me, and I'm stopped in a 40-mile-an-hour road. Okay, so that is a fail. Cars were stopped at the red light behind me, so that was not where it should have gone. That is not safe in any world. I don't even know what to think about that. I wish it would map a U-turn here. I would probably let it do it. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and cancel and just see if it'll remap a U-turn at all. It's a good morning to try a U-turn. Okay, unable to complete maneuver, please assist now. I do have a car behind me now, so I have to disengage and go ahead and perform the U-turn. All right. Well, while we do have the acceleration now maybe to complete the maneuver, we may not yet have solved the vision mapping left turn across traffic issue yet. It acted very similarly to that unprotected left behavior I have at many intersections, to where it'll bail out to the right. That time it bailed out to the right and quit. And you can't do that in traffic. That's the first time it's ever quit. Before it, at least.
Yeah, so, okay, so again, keep in mind, I obviously foreshadowed this a little bit. You know, I knew that was going to happen, obviously. But, you know, there's still things, this is still beta, right? These left-hand, unprotected left-hand turns, the fact that it can't do a U-turn yet, right? These are little things that still need to be ironed out. I do think that by the time we get to version 10, so from here we go to 9.3, possibly 9.4, and then 10, and then maybe 10.1. I think by then we'll have all of this ironed out. But clearly it's still beta. Yes, there's a lot of improvements. Yes, we barely see any interventions, any takeovers by a lot of the drivers, but you know, these are still those edge cases, right? Those little weird situations where how do we handle this? And those are the areas Tesla is going to beat out everybody else, because they're going to have the most amount of edge cases and they'll be the safest because of that.
We'd either loop to the right or continue on. All right, here it's the unprotected left at a light without a green arrow. It has to choose its gap with traffic. There is an oncoming car. Blinkers on. It needs to wait. And it's a police car. Okay, those rollers usually work, but that police car had already started to tap his brakes.
So frankly, I actually think the Tesla made the right decision there. I think it could have easily made it without the police car actually hitting their brakes or anything. But again, that's kind of a risk-reward thing. Each driver, you know, to their own opinion on that. And I'm obviously not there, right? I'm not actually doing the driving, so it's really hard for me to understand a perception when I'm just looking at it from a computer and I'm not actually there. But it looked fine to me. However, I understand, Chuck want to be safer when it comes to his vehicle. So that makes sense. And again, I'm not there, so I'm more than backseat driving over here.
I'm not sure. I'm going to tap that one there also. It should have stopped for that oncoming car. It looked like it was going to roll it. In perfect world scenario, would the dynamics have worked? Maybe, but that police car would have had to hit his brakes pretty hard. When I test that either today or whenever I get to it, I know it'll be more challenging, so I would like to get some simple scenarios here. So I've just reprogrammed the left cross traffic here that many of you are familiar with. Checking for visibility. It needs to do its creep here. It's bending the steering wheel to the right. Okay, it's wide open. So let's see if it'll complete it. All right, and it came to the right. And it's, okay, there's a car coming from behind, so I'm going ahead and disengaging there. To go. Very interesting. It's definitely not acting like it wants to go left. All right, it's clear in a million, so it can go. All right. It's looping to the right. At least that time, it committed to the right loop. It's got the blinker on and it's going to go right here. It's got a little pedestrian to see here. It'll be interesting to see if it does anything around that runner. But no, it's just looping itself this time. Okay,
so there's another video that Chuck does with these unprotected left-hand turns, but you know, we spent a lot of time on that during 9.1 and 9.0. 9.2, not much better. I don't know if it's left-hand turn itself or unprotected left-hand turns, or if it's just this given one and that other one that's just kind of a, you know, how far can I see, am I confident or not? But there's no use of me adding any more of those into this video, so I decided not to. I thought there were plenty of other interesting moments to look at from other YouTubers and other beta testers. So so moving forward, we're not going to see any more of these unprotected left-hand turns from Chuck, at least not for 9.2.
So I don't think that's any different behavior. That time, at least, it didn't stop on the road. So I'm going to say that FSD Beta 9.2 has a little bit more of an acceleration into a turn out of the stop signs and stop lights. In that unprotected left scenario, it did not use that acceleration yet. I haven't witnessed it yet. And perhaps there was a regression on the confusion on what to do. It's not even attempting to go across that traffic at this point, and it's definitely not saying it can't do it.
Blinker on, that's good. Very confident in the turn, let's see. Okay, it corrected itself towards the end, so I'm going to report that. Not too bad, but still it was kind of correcting itself. I wouldn't say last minute, but it was towards the end.
So this one is being filmed in Chicago. I'm going to make a list of all the YouTube videos and all of the beta testers that I got these from. Just to give them a shout out. It's hard for me to remember everybody's name, but this is actually one of my favorite ones. I love the way the camera's positioned on top of the car, and it really allows us to feel like, you know, we're there and we understand the entire surroundings. And then also the way they have overlaid the FSD UI on top of it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I love this view. It's my favorite view out of all of these.
So a human driver might already want to go on the left lane, but we're safe here, and that's fine by me. The other thing is, in previous version of FSD, if I'm the first one at that traffic light, it will not engage in the intersection until it's clear from the oncoming traffic. And that can drive people a little bit crazy, because usually you just go into the intersection and just wait in the middle of the intersection until it clears and go through. So I'm fine waiting here. We're gonna have a green light that will allow us to move over one lane, and then we'll see how it handles that cross traffic.
So there's about to be a green light here, and I agree. I actually prefer that the Tesla doesn't just go to a left lane. You know, a lot of times, you know, we do that as humans, and yes, that would make it more human-like driving, but it doesn't mean it's better or right. You know, sometimes just because a human would do it doesn't mean it should be done, right? I mean, we should at least make these things better than what we would do. But, you know, anyway, so what I really wanted to say was, you know, we talk all the time about how areas like San Francisco are such an important thing for Tesla to be able to drive in. And once we master an area like San Fran, that, you know, that's one of the hardest areas to drive in. But I want to push back against that. I really think Chicago and places like Rhode Island, I think those are way harder and have a lot more of a edge case scenario. What you're about to see here, this turn, this is a very complicated turn that honestly barely has even any line markings, and it's just very confusing on what's happening. You don't see a lot of turns like this, and I think the only other place I've ever seen a turn like this is actually in Boston. And it surprises me I don't see more videos, and I'm sure someone in Boston is a beta tester, but I would love to see some Boston videos out there. But yeah, New York City, Boston, Chicago, San Fran, Seattle, right? Hyperchange with Golly. He needs to get back to, I think he's in New York right now, but he needs to get back home and do some more testing. I want to see that monorail. But yeah, so I think once we have those mastered, it's really going to be game set match. You take that with Chuck Cook's left hand turns. I mean, we're there, right? We're there. This is why I think it's so close. It's so exciting. It is so close. I really think that by the end of this year, we're going to have wide release FSD beta. Let's watch this turn.
So here's the green light. I'm gonna move over one lane. Let's see if that has a blinker on. Oh, okay. It's hesitating. It doesn't know where to go, so I'm gonna take over here. It wants to go straight. There's no need to do that.
So again, I mean, obviously, right? That means it's not perfect. It's not ready, and that's why this is beta. But look at this. Look at these lane markings, right? We're supposed to take a left, and like this is a mess. I mean, I don't know who designed this, but there's nothing like really guiding me to go to the left. So obviously the Tesla can't use anything as far as line marking, but you can still see the vector here. The Tesla knows where it has to go as far as the vector, but what happens is normally people hang out in the middle here, but the Tesla is obviously not comfortable doing that. And this just isn't a scenario you see that often. This is a perfect example of why edge cases matter.
We are going to reposition the car. I do not want to engage FSD at this point here, just because it can be very confusing for the system to know if it's our turn or not. I'm going to take over and we're going to re-engage here. So, not ideal. It was kind of trying to follow the lead car, which is not what we wanted to do. Okay, so going through here, there's no marking on the ground, on the road itself, so it's kind of driving in the middle. And then we have some markings here, so it's splitting, very nice, pretty smooth actually.
So keep in mind, going back to what Chuck was talking about as far as the rendering and how far it can see, notice how soon, right now there's no divider line within this lane, okay? But notice how quickly the Tesla is able to pick up the line markings ahead without without it actually being rendered, right? So it picks up very quickly.
Okay, it's going straight. Same thing, we didn't have any markings, but as soon as it saw the marking, it's kind of corrected itself. Very good. Stop was pretty good actually, pretty perfect. No time wasted. It was our turn and we went. Hello to Tesla. With the parking lot, a couple of delivery cars here waiting. Brand new Model S's waiting for their owners to be picked up. Interesting. Okay, so we're coming to a four-way stop here. The car on the left-hand side, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's gonna come across now. Probably came at the same time as us. So, I would have waited as well. So whatever FSD did is actually exactly what I would have done, which is great. All right, another stop here. Very good, we should be going, yep. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so for people who are not familiar with my videos, we do all these testings around Chicago. I know some people asked me in the comment to be very clear at the beginning of the video that that's where we are. So I also do leave, put the location in the YouTube video in the description. So there's a bit of traffic. I didn't want to do it too early in the morning because otherwise it would be empty streets. But here it's like 3:15 Sunday afternoon, so there's a little bit of traffic, not too much. And obviously we'll do more testing downtown, etc. Turn is perfect. That's very good. Coming up to a stop here. It's going to be a left turn. That's very nice. Very nice. So it picked the correct positioning on the lane. That's good. Same thing, we're going to make a left turn here. So this is a one-way, so really we should be on the right-hand side of that one-way, but we'll see if FSD does that. or if it stays on the left. Ah, that's perfect. Really good. Really, really good destination here. Okay, we have our car on the left. There's one car. Is it gonna see us? Yeah. So the car on our left slowed down, which is fine because that white SUV was pulling over and parking. Okay, so we have now unprotected left. The car should be creeping forward a little bit. Let's see, it says autopilot creeping forward, checking for visibility. Okay, it's moving along a little bit. We have one car. Okay, another car is coming. Yeah, it's perfect. I'm here. That was really good. That was really, really good. That was, I want to say it's just like how a human would drive. It was very careful. Visibility wasn't perfect on the left-hand side. We had parked cars and the building was fairly close to the sidewalk. But yeah, that was pretty impressive.
So keep in mind that that was a unprotected left-hand turn, right? The same thing that we've seen struggle for Chazman or Chuck Cook. So, you know, again, like is being said here, that was pretty damn near perfect. So that's exciting.
Really. All right, very nice. So going through under the bridge, gonna go on the left-hand side here. Very smooth, very nice. One thing that is missing is the blinker, so I'm gonna report that. Going through this stop sign here, it's being careful. Left-hand side is actually obstructed a little bit. Going through the railroad cross, stop, we need to stop, we need to stop. Very good. I'm gonna back a little bit. Nothing to worry about. We are far from the barrier, but I just don't want to take any risk of the gravel or anything. So here you go, guys. We're gonna get a train. It's coming from the right-hand side.
I don't really know if I would say that was perfect because it did go past the line. So just trying to be objective here, you know, that could have probably been a little better.
So that's a bus, a truck, a bus, bus, truck, bus, truck. All directions, left, right, right, left. That's quite funny. All right. So that was good. That was interesting. Let's re-engage FSD. Okay, it's waiting for traffic light. Okay, traffic light is off and it's going. Very nice, very good. Gonna make a left turn here. Nobody to stop. Very good. So this is perfect. That's a good example of what you want to see. I'm gonna take over and park here. This is what you want to see for a stop. It wasn't rolling the stop, but yet it was, you know, stopping enough to mark the stop, but not wait until, you know, like too long, basically. So that was pretty good overall.
Yeah, we're just doing a test. I have us going up to kind of a mountainous road. Here it's always a little bit more. I think it's because you guys can't see it, but on this far right, actually, look, there's a car, so it's slow.
So I'm just gonna pause this one here real quick. Pay a lot of attention. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this clip very quickly. In about 2 minutes, so much happens. So watch it and keep your eyes peeled for all the little nuances about what's going on, you know, just with the environment in general. And also keep an eye out on the stationary objects that, you know, the Tesla goes around and decides how to do it, should it not do it, and all that good stuff.
Slowing down, but on the right hand side you literally can't see out there, so it's pretty blocked. So here it goes. Takes a little bit longer than, you know, I would have hoped for, but I think good overall. Okay, so we're gonna make a right. It's creeping out a little bit, but it's clear now. And again, I'm not pressing on the accelerator. I will let you know when, if and when I do. All right, so we're gonna be making a left up here. Technically, it's an unprotected left-hand turn, but we'll see, you know, the type of cars and whatnot that we deal with. Okay, there's obviously a ton of cars, so that's good that it's, you know, handling that amount of cars. We have this car up here coming, and we actually have cars on my left-hand side. So it's interesting here, right? It's seeing these cars, and it's gonna go. So it's crazy. It can see past the car in front of it. That's what I just took away from that. It just handled that unprotected left-hand turn like a champ. You heard it. I haven't used that in a while. All right, so we're gonna be making a left here, and then look at this, just getting all the goodies today, I guess. All right, so we have a construction car over here, so it's gonna go around. Look at that, really cool. All right, so it handled that, and then there's like this other car over here, and then we have a so it's kind of moving over. It sees the car coming. Look at that, really cool. And then it moves further into lane as the car's coming. You can't make this stuff up, guys. It's really cool. Glad I was able to do that. All right, we're gonna be making a left up here. Okay, we have a pedestrian over on the right, so it's gonna go around. Okay. Ooh, okay. Hello. That couldn't handle that deep of a turn, so that's kind of a little bit disappointing.
That's why we pay attention. That's why this is still beta, right? Because it's not perfect. Okay, so with all that FUD out there right now going on with regards to Tesla and their safety with their steering and their autopilot and all that, again, humans are responsible. This is not autonomous driving. This is not self-driving. This is all in progress. You are still responsible. If you say yes that you want to engage in these activities, if you want to use these features, the onus is on you, okay? The onus is on you to pay attention, have your hands on the steering wheel at all times. As you can see here, he's paying attention. Nothing bad happened, okay? But that is the key difference. And keep in mind, as far as FSD, only 2,000 testers have it, but even with autopilot, advanced autopilot and all that, that is, you know, people can get today, that has the same rules, okay? So it's very important. Anyways, I'll get off my high horse. I already made a whole video about that. We don't need to get into it in this video.
But that's why we're testing, so. Pretty sharp turn. I do think 9.1, I've done this drive before, and it did handle that. So, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Just to call out that reference, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That was Elon recently. He had a tweet about that and saying, you know, or maybe he said on a conference call, I forget, but he was saying that, you know, that's how the progress is with FSD. And at the end of the day, if you do 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and you do that, you know, a lot, right? You iterate with 2 and 1, 2 and 1. At the end of the day, you're moving forward, and that's what matters.
All right, so we're gonna have a pretty intense turn, I believe, up here. So let's see how. Typically, there's cars around, or at least parked on the side of the road. Obviously, I don't know. If anyone is here now, just checking the time. But I guess maybe not right here. It looks like maybe it is a full turn. Okay, so. Awesome. Did well there. Almost there. But, you know, overall good drive. That obviously that one disengagement, but at the beginning, obviously we had a lot of really good scenarios that we were able to deal with.
It's all clear to the left. We got a car coming to the left now, so it's going to probably stop here. Yeah. After this car, it should proceed now. Okay, so it's still creeping. I'm just going to give it authorization to proceed. There we go. Not sure how this is going to handle this. It's going to pass it. As previously mentioned, I'm sending those in with those merges because I'd like to see it use the turn signal into a proper merge.
In 1,000 feet.
I've never had it where it has to merge with a bunch of traffic yet, so I'm not sure how it handles that.
Now turn left onto Bench Road.
Should just smoothly go in. Perfect. Definitely improved that. Much quicker at that turn.
Yeah, a lot of these, like getting into that left lane, just going with it, is so smooth, very human-like. You know, it's very impressive to see just the smoothness that happens here.
Now, let's see if it tries to go around this truck at any point. It's keeping itself in where it thinks it should be in the lane here, which doesn't line up with the truck in front of me continuously. A little bit of a California stop there. Something about this intersection, it's creeping forward. I'm going to send that one in. Not sure what it is about that intersection.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Copper Hill Drive.
Sees the speed bumps, which is awesome. Still going over them a little fast for you know, that's personal preference. I don't mind it. It thinks it sees a person. There is no person to my left. I'm just going to push this one through. Okay, still seeing this
Now
speed bump,
turn
which is
left
excellent.
onto Copper Hill Drive.
Seems to be stopping it, but it seems to be correcting itself to make it up to the stop line. So, not bad. It's clear, it can proceed, and there we go. Nice path planning there to turn left. So one of the other things I've noticed, you'll see here, on the left, as we turn right at the bottom of this hill, coming up to the light, it used to slow down all the time. It's no longer doing that. It's taking the turn smoothly and at the speed that is set. So right now it would have usually slowed down. With Beta 9.2, it's keeping the speed. It will start slowing down for the light in a second here. There we go.
Now turn left onto Haskell Canyon Road.
I flicked the turn signal on there just so it gets logged. Nice. Okay, that guy kind of cut that close, and it didn't hit hard on the brakes. I did nothing there. It handled that really well, in my personal opinion. For an emergency vehicle, I can't see it yet. I think it's coming from the left. Oh, there it is. It's the right. Sorry. There's the vehicle displayed.
I brought this one up intentionally just because a lot of the the stuff going on right now with investigations is with emergency vehicles. So I thought it'd be, you know, worthwhile just to show what one of those look like, since we happen to have one. This is still something that needs to be, you know, fixed where it renders it properly. You know, doesn't mean that the vehicle doesn't know what it's looking at, but rendering wise, you know, people who are very simplistic in their way of thinking don't understand that just because it's not rendered doesn't mean that the vehicle doesn't understand the difference. And I don't know if it does or doesn't, but you know, if it's rendered, at least we know for a fact that FSD understands the difference between a fire truck, a police vehicle, and an ambulance compared to, you know, every other vehicle out there.
Still a little late moving into this right turn lane. The reason I say that, it did good. I mean, it made it over. But usually there can be a long line of cars, and some start making their way over early, and the car can get cut off on the right if it isn't anticipating that flow behind me. Really quick decision to get over, which is good. We're coming up to our left turn after this light. Oncoming cars.
So watch how smoothly this left happens and just going straight through. This, I think, is one of the most impressive turns I've seen.
But this will really show you how it's taking this left turn faster. So nice approach to the left turn with signaling. And see, there we go. I'm doing nothing. It's coming up to the turn faster and making the turn at a more natural pace. And there we go. Test loop 1 on FSD Beta 9.2.
Okay, everybody, so we're gonna leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that distilling, you know, down to the more interesting scenarios, some good, some bad, some amazing, some not so great, showed you where FSD Beta version 9.2 stands today. Now, keep in mind, Elon did tell us that there's gonna be a new release happening every 2 weeks. So look out for that. We're, I guess, at this point, gonna be 1 week out. And also keep in mind that by the time you're watching this, today's Thursday. Today is AI day for Tesla. So, you know, please stream that. I'm gonna be watching it through Rob Mauer's channel, Tesla Daily. So that's how you guys can watch it. I'll probably do a little reaction video late tomorrow evening after AI day happens, just to try to give just straight off the top of, you know, off the top of the mind, stream of consciousness. Thoughts on what we saw, what we heard, and what it means, and you know, the overall reaction to it, right? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it what we expected? Was it more? Was it less? Right? All that good stuff. So, okay, we're gonna leave it there. You know, next time we do one of these videos will be for 9.3 hopefully, and we'll go from there. All right, again, if you enjoy this type of content, if you appreciate the time we take to put into these things, or if you just want to make my fiance happy, do us a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy AI Day.